Hey all, this is Seb and
Altair.
we're back for our next chapter of our campfire tales. In the last one, we told you about how we ended up in a totally different place after going to that really messed up shrine.
It was not messed up. It looked pretty normal and mundane if you think about it.
It did not. And you know how we know that? Based on all the other shrines we ran into in this one. Because we ran into 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5?
A lot of them.
Okay, a lot of shrines. And there was some that were really messed up, but that one was the weirdest.
Really? I thought it was kind of the tame. Like, it does not come anywhere near that Tower of Bones.
I don't know. I feel like that one was crazier. It had too many gods in it.
If you say so.
Okay, so, as we left off last time, we're standing on this bridge, and we can see a bridge in one direction and a forest in the other, and we're like, where the hell's home?
Because, it's not our forest. It's a forest. But definitely not ours. It was just too green?
Yeah, it was too green, too many vines, too much.
Too much. And the mountain was like, poof, up through the sky.
Yeah. It was like, I'm like, are we still in Tartok? I don't feel like we're still in Tartok. I feel like we've gone a little south.
Really? I thought we'd gone further north because it was cold.
It was cold, but the only thing I know of that was as big as that mountain was Tullus.
Yeah, that's fair. Huh, maybe it was.
Maybe we were there. Okay, that's not the point, because there shouldn't have been any force by that. But, woo-woo magic at this point.
All the woo-woo magic.
So we're sitting there going back and forth, and I'm like, warm, loving forest.
And I'm like, cool, but tall mountain where we can see everything in all the directions. So we could find home.
So I had to agree. I was like, all right, yeah, no, Seb, you're right. If we actually climb the mountain, despite the storm, we should be able to see where we're going.
I mean, to be fair, where we were standing, the storm looked like it was kind of like, forming.
Yeah, it's kind of forming. It's not that bad. By the time we got there, it was a totally different story.
Yeah. Whoops.
Whoops.
Our bad.
Yeah. Okay, so this is also the part of the adventure where we have to admit something, and you're going to hear about it a lot during this, because this is when we started telling each other. Altair says to me,
"Do you hear that?"
And I respond with, "Do you mean the laughing?"
No. Why would it be laughing?
Because it sounds like there's like someone standing in the corner of a room with us, just laughing quietly at me.
Are you sure that's just not your own neuroses talking?
And time I'm like, you know what? It might be. We just had a fairly crazy experience. It might just be my evil cousin that's in my brain that tells me I'm doing things wrong.
And obviously, I'm not talking about somebody laughing at me in my head. That'd be crazy. That would imply I'm doing something wrong.
Ha ha ha. So he says, no. It's just like, I guess maybe my ego's a little loud today.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shh. It was not ego. We later learned what it was, but it was not ego, so thank you.
Yeah. By the time we made it to the end of this part of the adventure, we had an idea of what was going on.
Yeah. It was
a thing.
Yeah.
So, onward we go at that point. We're heading out, and we're going towards the mountain, and we're walking down this steep kind of like, not totally the ravine yet. The ravine was a little bit lower, but we're walking down from this ridge on this narrow little path, and we see a bridge. And it's not just a bridge, because when you say bridge, everyone thinks wonderful construction of metal and wood, sturdy and safe, and that is not what it was.
No, it was a vintage, handmade rope bridge, which is classic.
It didn't have railing.
It had ish railing. It was like the ropes that came down to kind of like weave through and support it.
Yeah.
Ish railing.
That's not railing, that's a support.
It was about the right height, at least for me.
Not so much for me. And this thing is just swinging wildly over this dark, scary ravine that screams death.
It didn't really scream death. Okay, it might have screamed death. And that's why I said we had to cross the bridge instead of going down into the dark, screaming death ravine.
Yeah, like the wind literally howled like, ooh, death.
It was pretty great.
So, I'm saying this is a horrible idea. And that's when the laughter in my head goes, yeah, you're just scared. And I'm like, why is the laughter talking?
And meanwhile, in my head, my voice is just, like, we got this. It's just a bridge. Why is that going to stop us?
But both of them are so quiet, it feels more like it's your own voice telling you about it and not someone else's.
Yeah, and I mean, that's kind of my daily thoughts anyway, so it wasn't really new.
I'm like, why wouldn't I be terrified of a swaying rope bridge over a death ravine? Like, of course I am.
And why wouldn't I think I could totally walk across it? I can totally do anything I put my mind to.
Yeah, and this is still the part of the adventure where I actually gave a damn. So, across the bridge we go.
Yeah, and to prove that that bridge was completely secure, I was so kind to go first, and I leapt into it with such energy.
He is not kidding. He actually leapt onto the rope bridge and started bouncing.
You say bouncing, I say prancing?
Yeah, checking for structural security is what he said at the time.
It worked, didn't it? It didn't
No.
give out.
No, it did not work. It did not work. I am pretty sure this is what kicked off what happened next.
No, it didn't even creak while I was jumping up and down on it.
It creaked a lot. You could just barely hear it over the wind.
I think you're being... Ugh.
No, I'm not being dramatic. I am being very factual in the retelling of this story. So Altair's out there prancing around, swaying in every direction, makes it about halfway, and then starts screaming that I'm a scaredy cat.
Well, you are a scaredy cat. You were still standing there looking down with those big eyes that you get when you're, like, frozen in fear.
So, step out onto the bridge, and the damn thing creaks, and I'm like, oh, this isn't going to be good. This is going to be so bad.
But it held.
No, it didn't. It didn't hold.
No. The first half held.
I'll make it to the halfway point. Altair is slowed down for me graciously.
To call back encouragement.
Yeah, encouragement.
You know, it encouraged you to move faster when I called you a scaredy cat who was going to get left behind.
Yeah, that's the sort of encouragement I get out of Altair. So I make it to the halfway point, and guess who starts bouncing on the bridge again?
I was kind of bored in my defense.
That's his defense for almost killing me again that day.
Almost.
Wolverines.
You stepped on them, not me.
You took us to them, not me.
That seems like a you problem.
So he's bouncing on this bridge, and the bridge gives way. The ropes just start snapping, and then it's like the wind is laughing at you, like, ha ha ha, death ravine.
But, you know, technically speaking, it wasn't my bouncing that did it. You weigh twice as much as me, so you were just going far too slow. You have to gently tap each board and not just leave your whole weight on each of them.
Okay, me gently tapping each board is me, like, body slamming the bridge every 5 seconds. So, I feel like I was handling it correctly.
Not my fault, you're gigantic.
So he takes off at a run as fast as he can right over to the edge.
Yeah, because I am very quick.
Whereas I'm ripping up every board with every claw, trying to claw my way through the falling air to the ledge. I did not succeed.
You were almost there, to be fair. You got very close.
I was like 15 feet off.
You probably could have jumped if that board hadn't given way at that exact moment.
Yeah, no, I'm just lucky that my other claw caught the other board, or I would have gone down into Death Ravine.
It would have been a glorious end.
It would not have been.
Actually, you know what? I probably would have caught you, all things considered. I could have, like, swung down with the rope and grabbed you out of midair.
That sounds like something you would have tried. But he did help me pull the bridge back up. I'll give him that.
I'm so helpful like that.
So, we end up on the ledge, and we're just like, oh, let's hope that's the worst thing that happens all day. Why I said it, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, what happened next, at the time, was pretty good.
Yeah, at the time it was not bad. So, we hear villagers, I guess?
People sounds.
People sounds. There's some smoke and fire in the air, but not like screaming, oh my god, we're all gonna die.
And oh my god, the smells of delicious food.
Yeah, it was like spiced and it was good.
It was so good, like fresh bread and cooking meat and oh.
So we head off in the direction of that, thinking maybe we can get some directions from this village as we get there.
He was thinking of directions. I was personally thinking about dinner.
Okay, we could have had both. We could have had both at the time, and that was okay. But as we get there, I get this, like, foreboding feeling, and that laughter just gets a little bit louder, like I've walked into a trap.
My voice, on the other hand, was totally like, oh, this is perfect. We're so hungry, we should eat everything and everyone. In retrospect, I should have squinted a little harder at the second part of that. But, you know, in the moment.
In the moment, we're just understand we're super disoriented from being transported and a falling bridge, and a lot more excitement than we usually get on any one day.
And we also still hadn't eaten.
We also still hadn't eaten, but from our very unsuccessful hunt with wolverines. So we make it to the village, and surprisingly, they welcome in 2 stray Tokotas.
They were pretty, you know, in retrospect, very open about 2 snow-covered, sweaty, gross Tokotas just stumbling out of the darkness at them.
Yeah, like, very okay with it. And thinking about it, they really shouldn't have been, which is why I feel that's point 1 towards Seb doesn't believe they were human.
Okay, they felt really human at the time. I've heard your theory, and I'm not sold.
So, we get there, they welcome us in, we run into the Mayor Smythe, and Smythe says, "Come, sit at our table and eat with us." And, like, that was strange, because usually we were not allowed on the table.
Yeah, but the food was good, so I, of course, just dove in.
Yeah, and they fed, and they fed, and they fed us until even this gluttonous ass was filled.
I don't know, I feel like I could have probably eaten another deer or something.
Yeah, you would have literally exploded from food.
If there's a way to die, it's that.
I can think of a lot better ways to die, like old and happy in bed. So, Mayor Smythe starts telling us all about the problems that they're having. That the big old snow god has summoned this storm because he's angry at them. And couldn't we please just go and handle it?
I mean, in retrospect, I was only listening to like half the story, so I don't know the full details even now. But it seemed like a reasonable request when they were, you know, handing us piles and piles of food.
Yeah, it was something along the lines of, "Would you kindly take this flame and go deal with Borga? He has cursed our village, and we are in need of someone to go and reason with him."
I love your impressions, Seb. They're great.
Yeah. So, at the time, we're like, I guess? And this is point 2 for why they're not human. Why would we have agreed to do that? We didn't know them, and we were trying to get home, and we don't mess around with gods.
Okay, point.
So here's my theory on this. They weren't human. They were some sort of otherworldly faced spirit creatures who, as we all know, if you partake of their food, then you owe them a favor, which they called upon us, which created a magical bond that forced us to go and do something we wouldn't usually do.
Huh. Would you say the amount of food you ate kind of reflects the intensity of that obligation?
I bet it would. Also, third point, that food was too good. We were in the middle of a storm, in a mountain, where you can barely get, like, a fire going normally, and somehow they have a giant bonfire, and they can cook all of this delicious, delicious food, and they have that much extra food up in a mountain where you can't farm?
Everything did seem very fresh.
Exactly. They weren't human. We didn't eat human food. We totally got trapped in a geese.
Well, I'll shoot.
Yeah. So, yeah, this part of the adventure, we almost fell to our death in a mountain, and then we got trapped by a bunch of spirits to go and handle their problems.
But at least they were really friendly and fed us well.
They were. And then they gave us a torch. And the torch was pink. Point 4.
You know, certain driftwood does burn in different colors.
Up in a mountain!
Well, they had all that good fresh food, so maybe they had driftwood.
Yeah. So we were handed a pink torch to go deal with Borga and sent on our way.
They sent us away with full bellies and warm torch to light our way through this storm that was totally maybe getting a little bit worse.
It was getting a lot worse. And they totally sent us into another trap.
I don't think that was intentional. They just told us to go down.
Yeah, but they forgot to tell us a very important fact, which we will tell you about next time. This is Seb and Altair. We'll see you then.